let's leak some projects. Nick's gonna get so mad. It's been so many years since we've done a formal tour of the Linus Tech Tips office and studio that I can't even really call it the Linus Tech Tips office and studio anymore. We've got so many channels and so much has changed that you're barely going to recognize this place. Even our access control doesn't work anymore. Look at this. Because we got a shiny new one from Ubiquiti. And this video is brought to you by Anker. They got us equipped with their PowerComp Bluetooth speakerphones as well as their C300 webcams so that we can remote work in style. With that said, most people are in the office today, so let's go see them. Starting in the reception room, we get the first look at the renovation slash makeover that has been mostly spearheaded by Yvonne and Janice, but also helped in no small part by Matthias and the rest of the logistics team, because they wouldn't have been able to make it over if it hadn't been significantly tidied up first. So we got rid of our old logo and the textured checkerboard feature wall and replaced it with, well, an up-to-date logo for the company, which was wrong for a long time, as well as the thumbnails of our top 12 videos. Some of these, it makes a ton of sense that they're here. Some of them, I wasn't even sure if they were content, but for whatever reason, people watch it. We made some small changes to the kitchen. So we've got kind of a graffiti aesthetic going on in the editing den down here that I think looks super cool in an edgy, like 90s, early 2000s kind of way. And then our kitchen actually sees very little use because again, thanks COVID, we're not allowed to have coffee machines. So they're like taped over and stuff like that. Which brings us into Taryn's office. No, but seriously, he doesn't actually get his own office forever. You can see that while we used to have the headphone wall and some decorations and couches and play buttons in here, now we've got 4 more desks for future editors once we can cram them in and once we actually need them. And this is intended to be kind of like a quieter editing room. Taryn, can you just run us through, how many keyboards do you have now?
Well, there's 3.
3, but okay, so you don't count the Stream Decks as a keyboard, even though they have like,
call it 4.
They have 32 keys each.
Yeah.
That's why we call him the Macro King. Moving into the main editing den, which is now much larger than it used to be, we've got, whoa, what is this? There's an office. We added a window to this thing so it wouldn't feel like a dungeon. And then he goes and turns the light off almost literally all the time. Sup, Ed? Now that he is our formally like manager of the editors and not just like head editor or whatever, he needs an office so that he can like have meetings with people or whatever. You can't tell because a lot of them are work from home, but this is Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. We've got probationary employee number 4 or whatever. There's so many new hires lately. This is Dennis's desk. Here's Hoffman. We've got Nicole over there. And finally, we've got probation employee number G. And then these are really cool. There's certain things that are better done in an editing booth. These aren't quite done, but the purpose of this room specifically is color grading. So we're gonna add bias lighting for the monitor, add blackout blinds for the door. We're gonna come up with a better system for covering the sensor on this. So you can basically darken this thing, have all the tools that you need for proper color grading for HDR, and we're gonna start uploading at least our mainline Linus Tech Tips videos in HDR on YouTube, which is something that's really exciting. Next door, we have a second booth that's gonna be all about that acoustic foam and all about that sound isolation. So we've got some more foam that we're gonna be loading up into the ceiling to help prevent sound from bleeding over the walls. We're going to add studio monitors because really that is supposed to be how you edit the sound for your videos. And we're going to equip this with all the equipment that we need for proper sound mixing. And at every one of these desks, we have freaking badass workstations. I hand built every single one of these myself. They are 24 core Threadripper processors with 128 gigs of RAM. Most of them have RTX 3090s or Quadros with more than 24 gigs of VRAM, so we can handle that stupid bug with the Ursa Mini 12K footage. And they've all got 25 gigabit networking so that editing on your timeline is as fast off of our server as it is if you just had the files locally on a high-speed drive. Oh, and of course, every one of these stations has 2 pairs of headphones. Why? Well, for in the non-COVID times, the writer sits next to the editor and reviews the video together. It's so collaborative. Also, the penguin needs one. Now it's time to visit the workshop. Although we call this the PC build corner now that we have a proper workshop. So the main changes here our aesthetic. Matthias redesigned it with new wraps on the countertops, much better storage for tools, water cooling fittings, all the cables that we need for building computers and testing them, and this handy dandy rack so we don't constantly have to go bother them when we need a monitor for a test station or whatever the case may be. Also here is the TechLinked set. If you'll excuse me though, I have to host TechLinked for a second. Thanks for watching TechLinked. We'll see you again on Friday. All right, now you guys have my full and undivided attention. Over here is our green screen. This used to be used primarily for TechQuickie, but actually now that we've moved TechQuickie to more of like a seated sort of host type of style, we don't really use it that much other than to mount seamless paper, which we store on the back of the green screen wall, and then use colored lights to turn that into sort of whatever color backdrop we want. And then you dress that up with like a desk, a little bit of furniture, and you can create pretty much any look you want. Which brings us to the set you guys are probably most familiar with. This is the apartment, which has been renovated a couple of times, but not structurally. We've just done new paint, new decorations, that kind of thing. The main purpose of changing over from having just the old orange walls set to this more homey feeling one was that we wanted the videos to feel less like they're being shot in a studio and more like they're being shot in a home, and in particular in a part of a home that is relevant to the type of product that we're talking about. They shoot everything from A-roll to B-roll to even audio pickups here because it's one of the areas of the building that has the best acoustics, thanks to the open ceiling and of course acoustic foam that we have sprayed on the walls and rafters. Oh, this is something that's actually kind of new since our last tour. So I kept giving Brandon a hard time about just moving the same damn lights over here, and then over here, and then back over here, and back over here, and back over here. And I was like, look, we need something that looks pretty decent, but just is one click to set up. And he's like, how much you want to spend? And we ended up with that. Of course, a big part of keeping the sets uncluttered is having somewhere to store your equipment. And we actually just very recently retooled this entire area. Here's our charger for our Titan tubes. These things are so much fun because they are RGB AF. You can set up all kinds of cool patterns on them and stuff. And because they're battery powered, it saves so much work in rigging. We used to have all of our cameras in a lockbox, but now we're gonna move to a system where they're all gonna be in a cage here because it got to the point where it was just like half an hour at the end of the day and half an hour in the morning just rigging up and then unrigging these cameras, and usually in exactly the same way. Yet another COVID thing is that we have to have a lot of distance between our camera guys at their desks. Now, they do more than just operate cameras. David, for example, is on the Carpool Critics podcast. Make sure you guys are subscribed to that if you're a movie buff, or even if you're not and you just like David's beautiful face, because it's also a video podcast on YouTube. And then that's Brandon's desk, where occasionally he will do things like color work for some of our more complicated projects, like say for example those recent car videos on the Chevy Volt and Tesla Model Y. And then over here we have repurposed our old laptop charging cart, which we found was actually kind of inconvenient once we got down to it, into an all batteries charging cart. So it's just an all metal enclosure, so in the event we have an unexpected fire or anything like that, it will all be contained within this metal cart. Yay! As part of our upgrade to 25 gigabit fiber optic networking, we didn't just upgrade the editing stations, we also upgraded our ingest stations. So nowadays, with a combination of red mag readers as well as USB Type-C SSDs like we use on the Ursa Mini 12Ks, we can actually do what, like up to 500 megabytes a second, 800? About 800 megabytes a second of each of these concurrently. Andy insisted I show you guys the tape wall. So this is where they keep gaff tape and stuff. And then here are their tools for rigging up and tearing down cameras, but I think it's actually more interesting to talk about this table. So some cameras get used the same way day in, day out, say for example for short circuit, but other ones need to be reconfigured and very differently often. So you can see the battery has been set up to be kind of like a stock that you can support on your shoulder. The top here has this nice handy small rig rail thing so that you can attach it to an easy rig that comes over your head and supports most of the weight of the camera. You hold here where your record button is, you got your screen right in front of your face like this, and then you would actually put a follow focus on this rail right here, and you can use that to adjust both your focus and zoom on your lens. Following the fresh yellow lines on the floor, this is the no zone, so you're not allowed to store anything in these walking paths. We've got our forest of light stands and tripods, as well as our custom C-stand holders that apparently we are finally getting rid of for a commercial solution. We've got our bin of light stands, as well as our flags. This right here is the short circuit set. This has been under construction for a few weeks now, and I think looks absolutely fantastic. Shooting short circuit is supposed to be as simple as grab the product, grab the host, get the impressions at the table, and you are done. This is the A cam that the host typically talks into. This is the B cam, which is actually operated by our camera operator who is monitoring all 3 cameras. And then this is our overhead camera. Every single one of them is already set up, already ready to go, and we don't even need to bring any media to the set and install it in the individual cameras, and they're all powered off the wall, so there's no batteries. It's just freaking ready to rock. Short circuit will also have its own kind of homey and unique looking space separate from Linus Tech Tips. Oh, hey, the director has taken his chair over there. Jono does most of the short circuit channel coordination, in addition to his business duties. This won't be anything new for camera people, but for the rest of you, the follow focus that I alluded to before is basically a separate knob that controls a motor at the other end of a unit. So that's the way that one camera operator can just have all the focus and zoom dials in one spot. At least they will in the future. Right now we've only got the one hooked up. And they can just kind of like monitor everything. It's pretty cool. Now we're heading into what I call the red light district. This is where we keep all our sexy costumes and props and all that kind of stuff. There's not really that much here because we just purged an absolute ton of it. And we've got Andy's desk. Poor Andy.
I'm a problem.
Yeah, COVID safe. He's got to be way over here. Don't worry, we'll get you over there with the other shooters soon enough. Behind the sets, where it just used to be a ton of clutter, we now have our DMX control modules for our RGB lighting that's over in the bedroom set, as well as our giant diffusion flags and our ladder for getting up into the grid and stuff like that. It's way more organized, and we've got these nice motion sensing lights back here so you can actually see what the heck you're doing. Bringing us into the bedroom set, which is likely to be the resting place of our Mac channel that we're working on. I'm just gonna hit this light so we can actually see what we're, Basically, it used to be a bed and kind of like a bedroom setup in here, which is why we call it the bedroom set, but all that's left of the bedroomness is a mattress in the corner, and we're just gonna make it more of just like a homey, cool hangout. A super cool thing about the bedroom set is that you can actually close it in so that you can shoot in any of the 4 directions in here. There we go. And not have any doorways in the way. Well, except this one anyway. This is our super tidy, thank you Jake, networking setup for the set. So all of the ports, thanks to this MikroTik switch, are 10 gigabit. So even if we're doing something really more test benchy and less shooty on set, we can get full speed networking and benchmark to our heart's content. Left or right? Left, okay. Now we're in what used to be one of the only office spaces in this building, but it has been significantly redecorated. So what used to be the writing den out here is now the accounting department. We got Special Agent Janice, who was of course responsible for a lot of what we did, except this. Janice was not responsible for that network port over there not working and us needing to hook up to this one. And this used to be my office. It is now Yvonne's office, and she shares it with 2 more members of the accounting department. Can we all take a moment to appreciate, by the way, how hilarious the name of the accounting department is? Accounting corridors, get it? Because they're accounting corridors. And this is our boardroom. We have significantly remodeled this thing. We've kept the original table and built-in bench, but now, when we're having meetings, we get to look at that wall and be inspired, and look at this one and also be inspired. All of our chairs grew legs when we hired a bunch of new people, so there's actually no chairs in here. But we recently added the Anker PowerConf S3, which they sent over as part of the sponsorship for this video. It's got a really nice clear sounding speaker that everyone in the room can hear, and more importantly, it's got 6 microphones built in, so you can actually see them all around it, so that the person at the other end of the call can hear everyone in the room clearly. It is a huge benefit, and because we've got there it is, this handy dandy USB equipped power thing there. We just leave it right there. We have a really short USB that we plug in when it needs to be charged, and we're good to go. Coming out of the conference room, we've got Clarence, who I think has probably the second most badass workstation in the building. Look at this. He even went to the lengths of putting gaff tape in between the monitors so that he wouldn't get, little slits of light distracting him from his Excel superpowers. This is inconvenient. I was gonna say that Nick's office is no longer Nick's office, but now Nick is sitting in it because he wants to confuse everybody, I guess. This is now a call/meeting room, and for some reason, Nick is talking to someone who doesn't work here anymore, so that's a little strange. Yeah, it's an awkward way to find out, Colton. Sorry about that, but hey, see you later, buddy. Nick has now moved over to Creator Warehouse, and we will go there, but not yet. First, I'd like to show you guys Colton's office. Colton's work from home because it's an awful long drive for him, and also I think about a third of the space in his office is now storage. We took away the business team's shelves. Hopefully they will turn them over a little bit faster. Coming out of Colton's office, we've got the team that he pretty much exclusively manages now. We saw Jono downstairs. Chase, I don't know what Chase is doing today, but he does event coordination for us. And then we've got probationary employee number 6 or whatever it is we're on here, as well as Jeff and Matt. So Jeff's in sales, and then Matt does procurement. And if you guys aren't disoriented yet, you will be now. This is the stairwell down to the main entrance that used to only go one way, but now goes 2 ways. This unit over here was where we used to have the lounge downstairs, but now has the lounge upstairs, and it has been completely remodeled. We now have more than enough room for our ping pong table, more than enough room for our games table once we're finally able to do staff events after hours. We've got our D-brand provided current generation consoles. Thank you very much for that D-brand. And our sick Klipsch/LG OLED home theater setup. That's not really a home theater, I guess, because it's more like a work theater. We're actually gonna be upgrading this soon with an incredible Sony laser projector. So stay tuned for that video. You are going to want to be subscribed. All the computers have been moved upstairs now as well, so we're almost ready to get some sick Worms Armageddon action going. And check this out. The logo has returned, but now with its very own feature wall. Not only does it still have RGB, oh yeah, but this thing looks absolutely incredible. It's an absolute work of art. So Special Agent Janice and Yvonne mixed their own blue and bluey green paint colors, did the entire wall with this sick pattern that we all thought was great already. Then they covered the whole thing in masking tape, painted it black, and then ripped it off. So we have this like sick circuit boardy style pattern to go along with our illuminated logo. On the subject of painstakingly difficult projects, this one wall is responsible for how many hours of work, Vaughn? And then we ruined the whole thing with a Comic Sans LTTstore.com at the top. And Lucky Creator Warehouse, they get to be right next to the lounge and this basketball hoop. Sarah, hey, thanks. We don't have a basketball, we lost it, but we do have these Linus plushies that are soon to be available on LTTstore.com. Wow, that was really terrible. Anyway, the point is, this is where our engineer Kyle sits. We've actually got 2 more engineers that are starting so we can work on all kinds of projects that involve injection molding, PCB design, all that kind of stuff for LTTstore.com. In the middle, we've got customer service, as well as Bridget and Hannah, our fashion designer, and I guess pattern maker would be probably the best way to describe Hannah's job. So for that reason, a lot of the new projects like WAN Hoodie V2, which is finally coming soon, are gonna be up. Oh, you know what? Let's leak some projects. Nick's gonna get so mad. Where's the WAN V2? Okay, oh, here's the original one. So that's the original WAN Hoodie. See, we still have some brand new ones actually. And that's not Nick coming over, is it? I don't want to get in trouble. The best way to not get in trouble is to have him not see me doing things that get me in trouble. So this is new WAN Hoodie. Still got like all the waterproof pockets and stuff. There's matching sweatpants. Oh yeah, Sarah, do you recall how much this stupid fit mannequin cost?
Way too much.
Yeah, it's like hundreds of dollars, and according to Bridget and Hannah, this isn't even like one of the really good ones. So let's see if he's wearing pants. Down the other side, we've of course got Nick, an empty spot for a new hire in the future, the one and only Sarah Butt with her army of dinosaurs protecting her workspace from intruders. It's excellent, Sarah. And then this is Lloyd's desk, where he has made his own sunlight blocking thing to protect his screen and Sarah's eyes or whatever from the sun. You know, we put them in the one part of the office that has natural light. The one freaking part of the office that has natural light, they complain. Shall we make our way down into the hold? Logistics here does so much more than just a typical warehouse type of role. Like, for example, they still do have to receive inventory, which sometimes is small and easy to deal with, and other times is extremely large and on the back of a truck and fragile. But in addition to that, they also have to do things like diagnose sometimes, you know, very arcane pieces of hardware or stuff that they might not have a ton of familiarity with. Like, say, for example, this maybe sort of not working, you know, boom arm for a microphone. They've got to do all of it while looking extremely pretty, which is a challenge in a department like this because there's so much hardware coming in and out of this place that it can be difficult to keep it all organized. There's Matthias right there. I got to keep my 2 meters from him because I'm not wearing my mask. And then we've got Nicholas as well as Serge, who is hiding over by the jackets because he's so shy. Go get Serge, Andy. See, Serge? This went from 0 to absolute freaking hero. Look at this. This might as well be an electronics store. We've got our cooling, we've got our water cooling, we've got our motherboards. They are sorted by chipset. We have magnetic labels so we can move them around. We got our power supplies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, they're sorted by wattage. Freaking love it. The point of this is that when we have multiple projects on the go, which happens often, I will show you that area soon, it's nice if multiple people can have a 2080 Super or whatever it is that they need it. Look, even we don't have a huge surplus of 3000 series. These are 3090s, but these are actually for our editing stations when we water cool them in the very near future. This is the old CPU/RAM storage rack. Yeah, and of course, now that M.2 is a thing, we've got our SSDs here as well. This is probably the sickest shelf in the entire office if you guys are into, like, I don't know, computers or whatever. Down here is our podcast/live streaming setup. And why is it here? Because this is going to be the new set for ideally both Carpool Critics and the WAN show. That is, once we've put in some acoustic panels and some big thick carpet and stuff like that. This is something I'm pretty proud of. This is the graveyard system. So it used to be that if we had a case that went back without some accessory, and then we found a spare accessory, but we didn't know what case it went with, the accessory got thrown away, and then the case didn't have it the next time we opened it, and then it was useless. But now we've got graveyards. So if you find a thing that you know looks important, but you're not sure what it goes with, you just put it in one of the graveyards, and then hopefully they will become reunited with the thing that they came from, and everything will be hunky-dory. Left or right? Left, okay. Now let's see what would have happened if we had turned right instead of left. Ha, 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 I get it. We would have ended up in the writer's block. Get it? Get it? Over here, we've got Madison, our social media coordinator, with her excellent goggly eyes on the back of her chair. And then over on this side, you're gonna find a lot of familiar faces. The one and only Jake, who set up that Ubiquity access control, along with our new security cameras.
Along with writing videos, along with doing a bunch of my network infrastructure. You guys know what he does. Don't worry about it. I think you into Minecraft, the Discord server on the side.
James, who has actually, I think, been promoted since the last time I formally did a tour and talked about people. So he is my right hand, you know, and I'm right-handed, so that's a good thing. So he helps me manage the rest of the writing team as well as continuing to produce videos on his own. He also does a lot of the hosting these days on TechLink, TechQuickie. We've got the one and only Riley. See, I'll take the place of Riley today. This is Riley's desk. He writes TechLink, as you guys probably know. The one and only, the legendary Anthony, who has been, of course, writing LTT, helping out with the Mac guys, providing technical support for the technical support. And then he's been doing quite a bit of Linus Tech Tips hosting lately. Massive high five to Anthony, good job, thank you. Now we're not actually allowed to touch. Over here we've got someone on probation, so you can't see them. And then now we're in sort of like the NG corner. So Colin's desk is right here, he's off today. And then Alex's 2 desks. Oh, you put this here for this, didn't you? Oh yeah. I know you did. This is our absolute one-of-a-kind 10 million subscriber diamond play button RGB lit gaming PC. I'm calling it a gaming PC. We've got these cool little shelves and like wall mount things where we can put all the different knickknacks we need, like little compressed air thingamaboobers for cleaning stuff out, alcohol for cleaning off CPUs, iFixit kits, all those little materials that we need so we can keep our workspaces a little tidier. These are the scripts of some of our top videos, including all the little annotations that we do to help the editor with their visualizations. So that's kind of one of the collaborative things that the writers and the editors work together on. This has been where we've hosted the podcast, the Carpool Critics podcast, but soon it won't be. This is going to be the call/meeting room for the writing team once all of this podcast crap is out of here. And then this is my office. Colin is still working on my upgraded desk PC, so hopefully I'll have a video on that for you guys soon. So this is still the OG one. And of course, this is actually a perfect opportunity to show off my Anker C300 webcam. So they do 1080p, 60 FPS with a 115-degree field of view. Not necessary for me since I end up sitting so far from my webcam, but what does help when I'm so far from my webcam is the microphone is excellent. I get absolutely no complaints whatsoever about my audio quality, and I really like that they use a USB Type-C connection, because if I do want to take it with me on the go, you can just kind of fold it up, grab your cable, and you don't have to worry about like which way it goes in when you're hooking it up to your laptop. This is my workbench where I've got a UPS just in case the power goes out while I'm flashing a BIOS or whatever the case may be. Everyone has UPSs on their workstations and on their test benches. I cannot overstate the importance of a good UPS. This is where I put all my awards. Like, you know, oh, do I have any that I lost here? No, here's one though. I'm gonna put this up in place of honor here. Next to my, my dead thread ripper. There you go. 404, success not found. Scrapyard Wars 7. Here are the chairs people sit in when I'm having meetings with them. Oh, if you guys haven't seen this video, by the way, make sure you go watch it. My chair is pretty special. It's actually got sub-ambient chilled water cooling built into it for those hot days. Oh, these are the LTT sticker packs that you get with current orders on lttstore.com. And I guess that's pretty much it for this room. It does have some cool decor that Yvonne and Janice worked on, but it wasn't part of this makeover, like my Apple clock and my Apple themed corkboard that the adhesive kind of came off a little bit, but it's minor issues. Just outside my office, we've got the writing team for the upcoming Mac channel, as well as another on probation LTT writer. All of them have these same Anker webcams. The reason for that is we have to conduct all of our meetings over like Microsoft Teams now because thank you COVID, but hey, at least it helps to have nice fast autofocus. That's another one of the sort of key points about these. Bringing us finally to the workshop, which doesn't have an inside doorway into the rest of the office because it's a concrete supporting wall for the building that we're in. This place is basically unrecognizable from the last time I showed it to you guys. It used to just be that bathroom boxed in and then an open freaking empty concrete warehouse. And I gotta say, they have done a pretty bang up job of it. We've got our vertical and horizontal belt sanders. I'd only ever seen this, and now that I've seen this, it absolutely changed my life. Got our bench grinder, got our sandblaster that I think it is pristine in here. We've yet to actually use this one, but. I used it once. Did you use it once? All right. We've got a way better bandsaw than we used to have, drill press, all the fittings that we could want. Well, I could still want more fittings, but that's a lot of fittings. Pretty much all the tools we could want. This is gonna be a paint booth at some point in the future. Oh, wow. They've actually made progress on this since the last time I looked at it. So the idea is that it's supposed to suck air in through these filters, and then that's an air replacement from outside so that we don't end up with negative pressure in here. This is Kyle, who has a toaster oven. So that's our workstation for like soldering or electronics work. Here's our Speedy 400 Flex laser, let's call it a cutter. Use it for engraving too though. These are the discs for the reservoir for my new desk PC that Colin is working on. In fact, ow. After I made fun of Yvonne so much for dropping her phone on her face and cutting her face. Here's our sink / eyewash station that cost an absolute fortune to get installed. We had to cut out and like dig into the foundation of the building in order to get the plumbing over here. Yvonne made it work. Thank you, Yvonne. Here's our lathe that I have now been informed sucks, and we're getting a better one. We're getting like a CNC one now or something like that. Here's where we put all of our devices that need to be charged, like our, impact and heat gun and all that kind of stuff. The mill is definitely going. This is getting replaced by one from Tormach. That's right. That thing is going to be freaking sick. You can actually have the machine automatically change out those bits for you in the middle of the job, so you don't have to be constantly watching over it and like hand changing things, which is pretty sick. And then of course, there's our CNC router, which we've had to use for both router and mill duty all this time, but now we'll be just pulling router duty, so we won't have to cut out stuff like this on it, and we can more use it for like, plexi and wood and that sort of thing. If you want to find the details for any of these tools, we'll have some of the key ones like the Speedy 400 Flex, which you can learn more about at the link in the video description. Also linked in the video description, we will have Anchor, who is featuring their Power Conf as well as their C300 webcam. And thank you to them for sponsoring this video. I hope I managed to hit where the cut is on my eyebrow. You did it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tour of the Linus Tech Tips, Linus Media Group studio. I haven't even talked about some of the really cool stuff, like that compressor outside means we have compressed air like everywhere in this room, like all the hookups and everything.